The Red Army won the largest war in human history. It reached Berlin. It crushed the backbone of the Wehrmacht. It changed the world. But here's the question no one wants to ask. Did it win because it was smart and disciplined, or because it could afford to lose millions, millions of people that no other army could ever replace? Think about that. That is the story behind the myths. Today we examine three of them: staggering losses, poorly trained soldiers, and the idea that Winter won the war. Not to glorify, not to condemn, but to understand the truth. The first myth: the Red Army won by throwing bodies at the enemy. This is partly true. Losses were staggering. Military deaths numbered 8 to 11 million. Worse than any other country, especially in the first 2 years, 1941, 1942. Massive encirclements, entire divisions wiped out, millions captured, command collapse, communication failures, orders, hold the line at any cost, entire armies gone in weeks. That is fact. But here's the nuance: most losses came in the very beginning when the army was unprepared. Mistakes, chaos, inexperience, not deliberate slaughter. When the Red Army learned to fight, losses dropped, efficiency rose. By 1944-1945, German losses often equaled or exceeded Soviet losses. So yes, at first it was brutal, but brutal is not the whole story. The second myth: Soviet soldiers were poorly trained. True, at the start. Massive mobilization, officers lost to purges, millions of soldiers with weeks of training, sometimes only days. They were taught obedience, they were taught to advance, but initiative, coordination, survival, almost none, and it showed in the slaughter of 1941. But here's the critical point: the Red Army learned fast. By 1943, better officers, experienced sergeants, coordination improved, soldiers gained experience, training remained strict, but it worked. The army became a machine, not a professional force in the Western sense, but a system designed for extreme conditions. Soldiers were expendable, yes, but effective, deadly effective. The third myth: Germany was defeated by Winter. Convenient, easy, but false. Winter of 1941-1942 was brutal. Germans froze, equipment failed, soldiers suffered. But it did not stop the Wehrmacht. Winter alone never decides wars. If it did, Germany would have lost in 1941. It didn't. The Red Army won because Germany was trapped in a war of attrition. Fronts too long, losses impossible to replace. Soviet operations grew deeper, more complex. By 1943-1944, Germany lost not to frost, but to a system that could mobilize more, endure more, keep advancing, no matter what. So what is the truth? All three myths contain elements of reality. Losses were enormous. Training was weak at the start. Climate mattered. But the Red Army won because it could endure, because it adapted, because it was ruthless and willing to pay any price. That is why it remains controversial and why it was effective. Not humane, not perfect, but unstoppable. That is the story behind the numbers, behind the myths, behind history itself.